Hey everybody, Mike Sayre here with the Infinite Reimagine podcast. As usual, I have my co-host Matty with me.
Hello.
It's been a bit of a break as we have been very busy the last couple months. Convention season has taken us around the world, and we've also had busy times for a variety of other reasons that are outside the scope of today's show. But we're really happy to see y'all. We're going to have a shorter episode today. Hopefully that's okay with all of you as we get kind of ramped back into things. As usual, though, Matty, let's open up by talking about what you've been watching, what you've been playing, how you've been filling the few spare hours you have since last we all met.
Well, and just to note, if you're watching this, if you're joining us again, you'll notice that Nick is not with us. They are here with us in spirit, but unfortunately, just not in physical form. Hopefully, they'll be available for our next recording. But as far as what I've been playing, what I've been watching, now I've told Mike about this before, but I didn't get it on a recording, and I just feel like I should. I've been running a Pathfinder Second Edition game with my two older sons, which has been a lot of fun. It's their first foray into tabletop RPGs, and so they've been having a lot of fun with it. But my middleest son, Wesley, who is 11 years old, recently had to kill a human in the game for the first time. All the other creatures he's had to kill before have been inhuman creatures, and he finally had to kill a human. And as soon as he was done, he goes really sad, and I was like, "What's wrong, buddy?" And he's like, "Well, I just killed a person." I was like, "Well, bud, he was a bad guy." He was like, "Did he have a family?" I was like, "No, he didn't have a family." And then he got even sadder. And he was like, "What?" And he said, "So he didn't have a mom and dad? He must have been sad before he died." And I was like, "No, buddy. His mom and dad were dead. They were dead." I was like, "But he killed them." Uh, and eventually we got around to the this was fine. This was the bad guy. We didn't kill anybody who's going to be missed. It's fine. But it's fun learning those little things that I have to kind of tiptoe around with my kid, or at least just get him to understand really what's going on, because he's never experienced that before, where he's been in a situation where he had to kill an actual human, and not an actual human, but a approximation of an actual human. So that's
The
been a lot of
idea
fun.
of a human.
Right, the idea of a human. So that's been a lot of fun. As far as what I've been watching, I've been watching a lot of ER, and I originally I had started watching ER because I'm old, and it was just a movie, or it was just a show I could do my crossword puzzles to. But then after a while, I started to get invested, and suddenly now I'm on season 13. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm just in this. So, because it only goes 15 seasons. So I was like, I'm almost there. Might as well finish this one out. Which that has been a lot of fun. And, just some good movies. I recently, and I'd like to just kind of shout this one out, because I've seen several pretty good movies, or really good movies lately. But I saw a movie called Shelby Oaks, which is a horror movie that was directed by Chris Stuckman, who is a fellow YouTube critic. Now, I say fellow because I am a YouTube critic. However, my name and Chris Stuckman's name don't belong in the same breath. He is a far more accomplished YouTube critic than I. But he crowdfunded this movie and finally made his horror movie Shelby Oaks, and it's one that I really, really enjoy. And I number one, I just think people need to go see it because it's I think it's a good movie, and supporting independent talents like that is important to me. But I have a special place with Chris Stuckman. He wasn't one of my go-to critics or anything like that. I just, within the internet, YouTube, the internet movie space, he's a big name, and he's someone whose stuff I enjoy. But especially since I become a critic, I don't really watch other people's criticisms so much. But a few years ago, Chris Stuckman did a non-review video for his show where he was talking about leaving religion. And as an ex-Christian, like I was like, oh, I have to watch this, and so I'm watching it. And as I'm watching it, he starts talking about other things that kind of leaving the religion has helped him come to terms with. And one of them was that he had finally been able to come to terms with the fact that he was pansexual. At this point, I had not really accepted that about myself because I am also pansexual. So as I'm watching this, I was like, it just like a thing clicked in me. And suddenly I was like, Chris and I are the same person. Like, it's like, it was so weird because it's something that I've always known about myself that I've hidden because of my religion. And when I got out of religion, I didn't stop hiding it. And suddenly I'm like, wait, he's right. Why am I hiding this? And so like, then that gave me the courage to kind of be who I was. So I owe a lot to Chris Stuckman. And he doesn't know that, but go watch his movie, Shelby Oaks. It's very good, and we want it to get some recognition. That's all. I know I've talked for a long time, but those are the big things I wanted to touch on.
You're absolutely allowed, my man. So what have I been up to? I have been reading the Phantasy Star tabletop RPG, prepping a game here. It's pretty interesting so far. It's kind of like a literal mashup of like Starfinder First Edition and Fifth Edition D&D. With all of the Phantasy Star, trappings and IP around it. We'll probably do a written review and maybe even a recording where we talk about it on the channel at some point in the hopefully not too distant future here, as soon as we get our first game in and everybody gets a chance to get their hands on it and some practical experience.
Yeah. I'm already causing headaches for Mike with my choices with my characters. Yes, I'm trying to play 2 characters.
It's, you know what? It's okay. It's a fun game. It's a loose enough rules system. We can do some neat things with it. I'm looking forward to it. On the video game front, I have had 2 video games that I've been trying to play when I can squeeze in a little time. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Very fun. I think that maybe calling it Bloodlines 2 has probably led to it getting a little less love than it deserves. Because, the original Bloodlines was a very kind of classic RPG experience, right? There was a lot of kind of making hard choices as you leveled up, and a lot of kind of sneakiness. Bloodlines 2, it's pretty beautiful. It seems to be kind of pushing the capabilities of my gaming systems, which are a Steam Deck and now a 5-year-old Alienware setup. So it's maybe not necessarily surprising that it's kind of bringing me right up to the performance edges on those. It's really fun though, dude. Like just running around the city as like an elder vampire. You can clamber up like pipes and vents and stuff, leap up onto roofs, and then you can't fly, but you can kind of like vampiric speed glide, which will get you from roof to roof. So you're in a little box that represents like the entire city of Seattle. I've been calling it AI Seattle because like they clearly have familiarity with Seattle, right? But they also clearly didn't pay to like license almost anything that like the city or businesses would. So like a popular but kind of like you have to know Seattle to know that it's popular taco places like Blue Water Tacos, and this is Vampire the Masquerade, so there's a couple different like Red Water taco places scattered around. But Morgan and I were joking about how, I jumped over 5 roofs and made it from like Soho to Pioneer Square, and that doesn't seem quite right. but it's really fun. The voice acting's fun. The just playing the vampire is very kind of intuitive and visceral. You basically you basically have 4 vampire powers, and whatever your starter clan is, you unlock those kind of first. And then as you create connections within the Camarilla and meet more vampires, they'll let you take a little sip of their blood, and you can start unlocking other clan discipline powers and stuff like that. So you kind of set up a mix and match of your 4 basic powers that sit on top of whatever things are just kind of normal to your clan. It's been really cool. It's been a fun thing. I love just kind of running around as a vampire. It's a very satisfying experience there. I've also been playing the new Pokemon Legends ZA. That is a very short game for a Japanese RPG. Even in the Pokemon franchise, it felt a lot shorter than Arceus, and it's kind of making me grumpy about the $40 day one DLC on top of their $70 game, because I'm like, kind of feels like that should have been in here, because I don't think I put more than 19 hours of playtime in and beat the entire main storyline, and I took time out to do side quests and catch Pokemon and try to keep my Pokedex like maxed out. So it's a beautiful game. I like the new combat system. I think they did a really excellent job of, like, you're not Ash Ketchum, you're a person living in a Pokemon world, and you're kind of having more organic battles in a different type of tournament. The fact that your combat is open and you've got to like run around trying to control your spacing based on your Pokemon's moves and the enemy's Pokemon moves and stuff, it makes for a really fun, dynamic fight. I like it a lot. I just wish there was more to it, because 19 hours of gameplay to basically knock out all of the major storyline in a $70 game is does not feel like enough. And again, I think I could have done it a lot faster if I had just jammed through the storyline right away. I think I could have squeezed that down even more. So
I hate day one DLCs now. Like, I used to not really have a problem with them, because used to day one DLCs were exclusives. Like you'd get it if you pre-ordered the game at GameStop, and if you didn't, you'd have access to it after, later, and that's fine. Those were fun. Those were nice little things, and it made you feel like you got something extra. When it's a $40 DLC that's that comes out day one, it's like, this was part of the game. Like, you just
and sometimes it's access. So there was actually a big kind of like hullabaloo around Bloodlines 2, because they also had day one DLC. But I can tell playing the game that it was designed as DLC, right? Like the way that the kind of side quests pop in, the places that those clan members are placed, it's very obvious that it was designed with, hey, this is the core game. Oh, hey, some of the devs have finished their core design work now. We're going to flip them over to making additional content, right? The problem that I think happened there was that one of the DLC clans was Toreador, and Toreador was a main clan in the original Bloodlines, so it really kind of emphasized that feeling people have about, like, you just cut content out of the base game and tried to jam it on. It's actually pretty apparent to me playing the game that that's not what happened. Right. Also, in the case of Bloodlines, Paradox and the Chinese Room, instead of being like, as happened with Pokemon, where they're like, we're Nintendo and Game Freak, you'll pay us whatever amount of money we tell you to pay us, and you'll be happy about it. Paradox and Game Freak were like, hey, we know you were upset. We went ahead and we folded the DLC into the main game. And I have it's pretty good. I don't want to make it sound bad, right? But it is obvious to me that I was already supposed to know the city and the game and the characters before I met the DLC characters, right? They feel like DLC in a way that I strongly suspect the Pokemon DLC won't. I haven't paid the $40 yet. I'm just not going to pay $40 for day one DLC when your main game didn't even fill up a full weeks worth of evening play for me.
Oh, right. And $40 DLC, that's the price of a Switch 1 game. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
it just feels so wrong.
I can go buy, a really adorable Pokemon knockoff game with a shit ton of heart for that same price and get 120 hours of play out of that.
Right, exactly.
Right? For that price.
Wow.
Yeah, but again, neither of those is bad games. Both of them brought really fun, unique experiences, and that's really exciting for me. I actually think, Bloodlines 2 is the bigger achievement between Pokemon Legends ZA and VTM V2. Like, of the two of those games, I think the one that really shows an effort by the studio to make something like really big and worth the price that they were going to ask for it, I think VTM is the one that actually does that better, because that is a beautiful game that's doing its best with kind of what it has. My understanding is it was like a very troubled development cycle. It skipped leads and studios a couple times during the course of it. So it's pretty clear that whatever the original goal was, the game that they were actually capable of making was not going to get to be that. And what we did get is good. And I think if it had been like Vampire the Masquerade Seattle Nights, I think they actually probably would have had less flack from a grouchy fan base, and maybe even could have done their DLC and done the funding model that they wanted to do, because people wouldn't have the expectation of, this is a sequel and you're making me pay extra for stuff that was in the first one. It just, little things that a lot of times just kind of come down to the fickleness of the fan base and a general kind of grouchiness with the broader industry, which smaller studios just kind of have to deal with.
Yeah.
So I guess we move on into the main thrust of this. Like we said, this is going to be a shorter show. We've probably talked more about these two video games than we're going to spend on the rest of the recording. Yeah. Or at least, these video games and the other stuff we've had going on. So we just kind of we were talking about it, and we were like, what we haven't done? We haven't just sat down and talked about Infinite Reimagine in a focused, this is our topic kind of way. And given that this is the Infinite Reimagine podcast, that felt like maybe the wrong wrong text. So we're here to correct that today, Matty and I. Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, Infinite Reimagine, there's a lot of reasons I chose that name. Part of it was because, I was hoping that the collective of people I'm working with, that we could build a company that is a little bit better for all kinds of people who want to create TTRPG content. And so simultaneously something that's accessible, but is familiar with games, and works a little bit different with the community members and the contributors. I hope to give them kind of a better experience, better pay than they might be finding elsewhere in the industry right now. And so the core foundation of that is the thing that I've spent half of my professional life building, which is TTRPGs. The Infinite Reimagine Tabletop RPG, the Quick Start Guide, is available on our website. Matty will make sure there's links and everything at the top of the comments for y'all.
I point because there will be a thing, a graphic with the website above me right now. So.
Nice. It's got 4 classes, which if you've played tabletop RPG, a class is kind of like your core idea, like your fighter, your wizard, your rogue, or your cleric. But in Infinite Reimagine, this is a more fantastic game with JRPG and high fantasy influences. So our 4 classes are the Sage, the Dream Knight, the Sniper, and I just had a horrible moment of aphasia the Mystic. I got there. I was like, I could see the page in front of me. I could see the letters, and the word just wouldn't come out of my mouth.
I was going to say, we might have to call in the person who created this to tell us the... Oh no.
We're doing this in the morning, which is generally good for energy, but maybe not always good for like my higher brain functions. So anyways, the Dream Knight, that's a cool kind of like Henshin Sentai inspired kind of class. When the fight starts, you can do your full Sailor Moon or Power Rangers or Ultraman, whichever strikes your heart the best, transformation sequence. Switch out your weapons, put on like your cool suit of magical armor, and power up. And that class has like lots of fun little kind of like hooks and things in it. There's a reaction it's got where if you haven't done your transformation yet and somebody hits you and reduces you to 0 HP, as a reaction, instead of dying, you can actually Sentai transformation right there and heal up some of your life back as kind of like your bounce back return to the fight, Act 2. The Mystic is inspired a lot by kind of like cultivator tech. It's not super wuxia. It's like somewhere between a cultivator and a bard. It's about vibrations and dance and kind of learning how to take and control and channel that energy to heal and buff your party. The Sniper, hopefully I don't need to explain to you what a sniper is. Bust out your dictionary, read that. That's correct. It has a targeting reticle. It's kind of its cool class mechanic where you've got a 4 quadrant and you roll a d4 and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be aiming for the head or the leg shot or the vitals. And whatever you call, if you roll a d4 and it matches that, you get an additional kind of cool, you got the target effect that kicks into play there. Yeah. The Sage is the spellcaster. This game is a 3-action game, which means your character every turn gets 3 actions and a reaction. And so the Sage kind of gets to take some little action blocks and put them together for its spells. It's got area kind of template effects where it's like, hey, I'm going to use Connect the Stars to throw out a line. And then exactly how that line affects enemies will depend on kind of the different aspects and stuff that you pick. So if you have like the forest aspect that you've picked and you've made it active, you throw out a line of, vines and branches and leaves that tangle and batter people. If it's fire, then you're throwing out a beam of flame that scorches and burns people, that sort of thing. So it's all designed to have kind of like the depth and character customization of a game like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, or kind of one of those mid-generation D&Ds, but have kind of the playability and accessibility of a more modern roguelike like Hades, right?
Yeah.
Was actually just yesterday I was working with our graphic designer about some character sheet redesigns and whether or not we could put something that actually looks like a copyright-free video game controller with the buttons and then map the movesets to the buttons in the space, right? Just something to kind of like help people get on the loop, play a little easier, and free up some more space back there. Because right now the character sheets that we have are for the full 20, but we've only got levels 1 through 3 of the game out there and available to play right now. So we're like, we have all this space for content we haven't made. Let's find some cool, spicy ways to use it that'll be fun for people to interact with.
Yeah.
Matty, you've played Infinite Reimagine a little bit. Why don't you take the mic for a minute?
Yeah, just a little bit. I've spent more time writing for this game than playing it, which is bad for the game, I'm sure. But I really dig it. One thing I like about the way it plays, or the way it's kind of designed, I like that because I'm very easy to please when it comes to tabletop RPGs. Basically, if you can get me into a rogue situation, like I'll be happy. And what I like about the classes, what are they called?
Yeah, the classes.
The classes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm always afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing for these for this game. especially considering my name will be in the book. Uh, but I like that they aren't, because a lot of times, most of the time, when a new game like this comes out, it is the classes are the standard classes, and they, even if they don't have the same name as the standard classes, they're that you could tell they're the standard classes. What I like about these is that it felt like, and you can talk about the creation of them and how you, but it feels like you said, yes, these are great. I'm not as interested in the classes as I am in allowing people to do what these classes can do. And so, like, it feels like when I look at it, when I first looked at the list, I was like, but which one is the rogue? I mean, obviously the sniper is the rogue. I mean, that's what it feels like. But when you read into it, it's like, well, this isn't a rogue. It's not a it's not a swashbuckler. It's not a gunslinger. But it is all of those things. And that's one thing I really love about it, is that it feels like you recreated the idea of these classes from the ground up without copying them. And you can kind of talk about, I'd like to hear about the creation process with that, because maybe I'm off. Maybe you're like, no, I copied them. I combined them all and copied them.
Yeah, no, actually, it was. Yeah, it was kind of the exact opposite, right? Was, I've been playing tabletop RPGs for a good long time, and I've played a lot of tabletop RPGs. And one of the first kind of cool, I started with Dungeons and Dragons, as many people do. And one of the first cool non-Dungeons and Dragons TTRPGs that I really got into was the Swords and Sorcery World of Warcraft table RPG from like probably the mid 2000s. It's been a while. And one of the things that I thought was so cool about that one was they were obviously still being very derivative of the D20 D&D system. They didn't have a fighter, but they had a warrior. But you could tell that they were really trying to make the warrior feel like the World of Warcraft warrior class rather than the D&D fighter class. And so you would see a lot of that in like the feats. It would have the feat tree for like, I want to throw my shield and I want to bounce it off a bunch of people. I want to have war cries and bellows and things like that I do. And those aren't standard fighter tools, because the standard D&D fighter primary tool is just being the best with weapons. Usually being good with all weapons and then being the best with a specific category of weapon. But there's been a lot of additions, so there's some flux there, right? And I was like, there are a lot of people who have their version of D&D, whether it be D&D, whether it be Pathfinder, whether it be 13th Age, whether it be like Dungeon Crawl Classics, or another OSR type system, or a PBTA type system, whatever. If I'm going to make a game, I want to make a new game, and I want it to be cool concepts, and I want it to be concepts from things I'm familiar with. And I love a lot of JRPGs like Legend of Mana and Final Fantasy and Batten Kaitos and stuff. So I was like, what I need to think about is the reason we have the fighter, wizard, rogue, cleric as such strong staples is because they really are, like, one, fantasy roles that people expect from a story perspective, but also mechanical roles that just fit into a game very well. You are the tank, you're the damage dealer, you're the controller, and your heals. Like, those are really easy to kind of identify and play. But I was like, what are the cooler versions of those roles, right? What are ways we can do that while bringing a new and original game experience? So we don't have the fighter, we have the Dream Knight. And the Dream Knight, their specialization doesn't come from being really good with weapons. It comes from turning into a freaking Power Ranger, right? And that kind of thing. The mystic doesn't just slap cure light wounds on people. He dances around and he negates enemy attacks and adds temp HP onto allies and creates his own kind of personal pool of regenerating hit points that allows him to move wherever he needs to move on the battlefield.
He's
the save, this exactly. The save is kind of doing a wizard thing, but doesn't have any wizard mechanics. Right? It doesn't look or play anything like a D&D wizard. It's a little bit closer to like a D&D warlock or a Pathfinder kineticist, but it doesn't directly take anything from either of those classes either. But it is, if you're familiar with tabletop RPGs and you're like, yeah, but like, what's it like? Those are the classes like, right? And Sniper was one, I think a ranged character is a really fun kind of thing. And, I made both the original and remastered Gunslingers for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And I had a pile of stuff that I just didn't get to use. Like the reticle idea, when I had found out that I was going to be doing the Gunslinger and leading Guns and Gears for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, they were like, yeah, so put some thought into kind of what you want to do. And so I was up late at home that night with a notebook, like scribbling all my, cool ideas for things I want to do. And that reticle idea was one of like my top ideas. I was like, oh man, what if you had a targeting reticle and you could use the targeting reticle to boost your accuracy and throw on cool special effects? You could basically take, Pathfinder 1 and 2 have a feat called Shot, which is usually a higher level debuff feat. It might have been a Gunslinger deed. But I was like, that's the kind of thing people want to do right out of the gate. If you're playing a sniper, and whether you're using a bow or a crossbow or a gun, you want to be like, I shoot him in the foot to slow him down, or I shoot him in the eye so he can't see me, or whatever. And I wanted to get all of that tech in real early. And so I had all these cool ideas that I'd written, at home that night. And I go into the design meeting and my boss, like first thing of the day is like, so obviously the Gunslinger is going to have legendary proficiency. We'd be idiots if the Gunslinger wasn't legendary in guns. And I'm not saying he was wrong, to be clear, but that proficiency in Pathfinder 2nd Edition takes up a huge amount of design space. So my whole idea of a targeting reticle that boosts your accuracy, you can't have two core class features that boost your accuracy when you're already playing the above max accuracy class, which previously had just been the fighters. So I had to take basically the whole front half of my notebook and just throw it in a bin at that moment.
I had
time to come back.
Yeah. I had a similar experience working on a project for Paizo when I was writing the Seneschal Witch thing. I had a great idea for a new I'm missing the words. What's it called when the witch learns something new?
Was it the mystery for the let's see, these hexes.
Yeah, where they learn, but yeah, like the lessons. Like
lesson.
Is that what,
yeah. Lesson. You're lesson. You were 100% thinking lesson.
Yeah. So I had this idea for a new lesson, and the idea of the Seneschal Witch was that the patron is gone, and so you're able to tap into higher powers because there's no governor there anymore, but it's also like no one to guide you. So it's unstable. So I had this idea. I was like, well, there should be a lesson that you learn on your own. That would make sense for the whole thing. The problem is that my design manager, he might be in the room, was like, you have to have this, and this. And I was like, if I have all of those things, I can't put a lesson in here. And so I had to scrap it, and it sucks because that was my favorite part of the whole thing. But I just that was also a similar experience. So you're not alone, Mike. Sometimes those
Yep.
guys are hard asses.
It's the nature of the doing the thing professionally, right? Is there's always going to be an overarching business or design directive, and you'll have some cool ideas that just won't match it. But fortunately, with Infinite Reimagine, we got to make different decisions about the design directive and everything else, and so we've come up with what I think are some really cool, really fun classes that won't feel like the classes from other games you've played, but will, like, pretty quickly and intuitively, you'll know how they go in there, right? In the same way that you can just kind of feel these things. It's obvious that, oh, this is the heavy armored big weapons class. Oh, this is the lightly armored deal extra damage while you're sneaking class. This is the I would just want to be freaking magical class. We also have these things called professions. They, kind of shore up the other side of the game. Bard, ranger, brewer are, some of the professions we have in here. And these are big. They affect the way that you explore in the game. They help you interact with the game in between sessions. They determine sometimes what kind of starting stuff you can do, and they stack a whole lot of like fun flavor on your character. And they're a big part of your character. Like, you might be familiar with like D&D and Pathfinder both have backgrounds, right? A background is pretty common. Kind of the biggest difference between a profession and a background is that a profession will keep growing with you across the entire stretch of your character. Right. If you start out at level 1 and you're a Dream Knight blacksmith, by the time you max out, you won't just be the best, most awesome Dream Knight around. You'll also be the best, most awesome blacksmith around. You'll get to raise those columns together, both your adventuring persona and your civilian persona. And then we oh, go ahead, please, Matt.
I was just going to mention that that's something I love in games in tabletop RPGs when you can do, which is that two of us can play a class to its limit and end up with very differently powered characters, and I love that.
Yeah, 100%. That's really important to me too. Like, if I have two players and they're like, I want to play a fighter and I want to play a fighter, I'm like, cool. It would be great if you're not playing the exact same character, and it's even better if the game is such where I probably don't have to say that, right?
Right.
And that's pretty consistently been my experience, unless we're running with the pre-gens. If two people build Dream Knights, every time I've ended up with very different Dream Knights. The last time I did a little one-off session with some folks, one of them wanted to be like a very magic. I think there was I'm not familiar enough with Power Rangers. I watched like the original series a little bit and not much after that. I think I came back for the movie when they got the budget bump. Right. They had Apocalypse in that one from X-Men, Age of Apocalypse or whatever. It was weird that he appeared in Power Rangers first for his cameo, like 20 years before he showed up in the X-Men movie. But
it's crazy.
That's an Ivan Ooze joke, and you have to be a pretty specific flavor of nerd to follow me on that one. So everybody else is like, what the fuck is Mike talking about? I just apologize to you. And
I knew.
I know you did. The other kind of main component for players in Infinite Reimagine is your ancestries, and these are very much kind of inspired by the types of JRPGs I like to play. So you've got humans, because that's kind of a good baseline everybody can connect with. You've got beastlings, and beastlings are basically humanoid, but with a then kind of like animal characteristics. So you might be an avian beastling, or a cat beastling, or a lizard beastling, that kind of thing. It's your animal people, not like your sapient animals, right? Like that would be a different ancestry that we haven't done yet. Elves, our elves are tall, immortal, metallic skinned, have horns, and were some of like the first beings created inside of our universe. They travel around between the aspects, serving powerful Fey Lords, or at least they used to. Most of the elves that players will be playing will be elves who kind of got tired of serving Fey Lords and decided to go have their own lives one way or the other. And then Machina. And Machina are a pretty broad range of constructed beings. Some of them were literally puppets. Humans in our world, mostly, they live in this place called the city, and they're surrounded by the dream, which is chaotic and ephemeral, and kind of anything can happen once a sentient being goes into the dream and their thoughts and experiences start changing it. So they created these kind of mechanical puppets that they would send out ahead to kind of scout and make sure things were safe. And sometimes those puppets would just get lost and disappear, and they'd write them off as, well, the dream got them. We don't go to that part of the dream. But then one day the puppet shows up knocking at the city gates like, Papa Geppetto, it's me, Pinocchio. I'm a real boy now. And some of them are not particularly humanoid at all. It's like somebody got lost. We have an article for Bunsen, our luminary sniper, who is a Machina, and he was like a pot-bellied stove. And the human who had originally owned that potbelly stove got lost out in the aspect of ice, was walking along the road, started thinking about how hot it was and how he'd like a nice glass of lemonade with some ice cubes in it. And as he was thinking about ice cubes, all of a sudden he found himself stranded up on a glacier face with his cart. And so his cart, and his little stove, trying to survive, burning little pieces of his wares in his cart one by one as he tries to figure out how to get out of there. And his only friend is the stove, so he's having conversations with it. And one day the stove starts conversating back because his thinking about it as a real person while he's out in the dream has transformed it into a real person. And that's the backstory of one of our luminary characters who are illustrated in the book. Speaking of illustrations, we've got a lot of really great art in here. We have some stock art that we bought from great artists like Diane Ramick. We have 3 original artists who've been working on the project: Eleanor Farron, Raphael Braga, and Jacob Blackman. And they've all kind of done different cool pieces for us. Jacob has done monster art. Eleanor does these fun little emoji versions of our luminaries who are in the sidebars and the tables pointing at stuff or showing you what wounded looks like by being bandaged and broken in the corner of the page and that kind of thing. And Raphael is kind of our signature artist. He does our covers. He does our luminaries. He does some absolutely beautiful art. Hopefully while I'm talking, when you finally get to see this, our viewers, Matt will have grabbed a few of those pieces and we'll slide them across the screen here for you as I'm talking, because they're really good. Raphael is just an excellent artist. We're so thrilled to be able to work with them, and Eleanor and Jacob and all of the stock artists who have been so kind as to make their artwork available for us to turn into books and games for you all. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the main information that I want you to know for the game. If you're going to run the game, aspects, I've dropped that word a couple times. That's going to be a real fun tool for you to play as the GM. Aspects are ideas: ice, fire, the road. They give you, as the GM, who we call the Dreamer, the tools that you need to both build adventures and reward your players for going through those adventures. You might get Highwayman's Poison as a boon from completing an adventure on the road, and then that will give you just a cool little widget that's on your character. Every adventure now, you'll have a certain amount of Highwayman's Poison that you can apply to your weapons and stuff like that. So that's a real cool tool. It's another kind of original thing that we built and created for Infinite Reimagine that you're not really going to find in other game systems. That helps emphasize those JRPG and roguelike elements. So, yeah. We have a lot of other content available, though, both for the game itself and for people who like our art. If you want to get, a little bit of merch to support us, we love it. We've got hats, we've got hoodies, we've got posters, we've got coffee mugs. Hey, with the Infinite Reimagine logo on there. We've also got another coffee mug that's got a piece of Raphael art and the logo on it.
I don't have that one with me. I'm sorry.
You're just fine, man. So please do feel free to check out our shop. Check that stuff out. We've got lots of great stuff there. Lots of great gear. Don't die, Matty. Live, Matty, live.
I drank that wrong. That was not the cup's fault.
Yeah, thank you. It's like I don't know if you watched the new King of the Hill, but there's the episode where like one of his longtime customers has been having like mini strokes or something, and like strokes out and dies in his restaurant, and Bobby's at the funeral, and every time that the dead guy's son is like, and he died at his favorite restaurant, Robot, and Bobby's like, not from the food. Sorry, not to interrupt. I just want you to know it wasn't the food. So it wasn't the coffee mug that killed Matt. It was whatever his wife served him in the cup.
No, I served myself. It was whatever caused me to swallow it wrong. It's my fault. It's user error.
That's fair. That's fair. I wasn't trying to throw your wife under the bus. I was just trying to, set up the murder podcast that we will be doing after this. lay a few seeds and some early leads.
So just real quick to go back to aspects, just a fun little anecdote.
Oh yeah.
When we played it for the first time, you had sent me the materials and the materials. This was the first time I was getting familiar with it, but I didn't really have time to go through all the materials. So then we start playing, and you had sent me like a pre-gen, so I didn't have to like go. I really didn't have to do anything. I just had to show up. And then you were like, all right, you've encountered the aspect of a road. And I'm like, and having been supposed to have read through the material, I showed that I hadn't when I was like, when you say aspect, do you mean there's not a road there, or there's just something? What does that mean? And you're like, no, aspects are, and you explained it. I was like, oh. Yeah, I probably should have read through what you had sent me, because it showed my cards there. That's it. It's just that's just my experience.
No, you're totally fine. And it's new terminology. It's one of the reasons we're talking about it now, so people can get excited about it. Like I said, we got lots of cool merch. Check out the merch, pick it up. It supports us, lets us buy new art, pay artists, and things like that. Funds the gigs. So we always appreciate anything that you do on that front. We've also got a cool first level adventure, The Road Less Traveled. That is actually kind of one of the first adventures. I think that's the same adventure that Matty was just talking about, is that adventure. When we played that one, that's a really great starter adventure, introduces you to kind of all of the concepts we've been talking about, gives you a chance to get a good feel for the game. We've got an upcoming adventure coming out, was hoping to have it out for the holiday release. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, but we'll definitely update you all when that's available. That'll be Tower of Decay, a cool new adventure from our friends over at Teams Plus. I also want to take a moment. We were talking about The Road Less Traveled, and I would like to thank Steve Hammond and the folks at Sandemonium in Sandpoint, who were running The Road Less Traveled to introduce people at their convention to our game a couple weekends ago. Thank you so much, Sandemonium, for featuring us. That was really awesome. It was really exciting to see a bunch of orders for the game coming in from Sandpoint, Idaho. I was really glad to know that we've got a new community of players there. So thank you all so much for enjoying the game, playing, and participating. Also available on our website are reviews and short fiction. The short fiction will be about our world, The Void and the Dream. The reviews will be about the kind of games we're interested in: JRPGs, tabletop RPGs, roguelikes and roguelites, all that.
Right. If you don't have the starter guide, is that what it's called? Quick start guide.
Quick start guide. Thank you. Yep.
If you don't have the quick start guide and you've been watching this, talk to us in the comments and tell us what aspect of this game intrigues you the most. And if you do that, Mike, what happens? Because we haven't talked about this in a while. I can cut this
I'll tell
out
you what, if we get if we get 5 comments from original posters talking to us about what part of this game they're most intrigued to see, we will give away 1 free copy of the Quick Start Guide. If we get 50 comments from original posters, we will give away 5 free copies of the Kickstart Guide. And if things go absolutely crazy and get higher than that, then like continue commenting, because we'll come up with something even better, and we'll figure that out when it happens.
Right on.
But yeah, we'll get some copies of the Quick Start Guide out to folks who are engaged and interested and haven't had the opportunity to jump in and play yet, because we'd love to just keep growing this community and get more people in and playing. That's about all I got for the day, Matt. You got anything?
No, normally this would be where I give my top 5 of something, but I didn't prepare one. So yeah, no, I'm good.
All right. So other than that, we're going to keep it short, sweet, and focused, which was always kind of the goal. And we're going to wrap up so that Matty can get this thing produced and get it out to you, and we can get about our weekends. Thank you so much for joining us here again on the Infinite Reimagine podcast. I'm Mike Sayre, the design lead for Infinite Reimagine.
And I'm Matt Chapmond, a depression anxiety sandwich on rye.
See y'all next week, folks. And until next time, don't forget to keep reimagining your games.
That's how we end this show.